So today we're going to be changing the belt tensioner, the idler pulley and the belt as well. We've already changed the crank pulley, so rather than take the bolt off and have to do it all again with a new bolt, we're going to be going in from the top, from removing this top engine mount and going in that way. So if you want to see how we're going to do it, stay tuned and I'll see you very shortly. Right, so if you're new here, welcome to the channel, and if you've already watched our videos, then welcome back. Make sure you like and subscribe. We've already done a video, which we're going to link down below, on how to change the power flex bushers on the damper and how to fit the alter tensioner stop. So we're going to link that down below, make sure you check it out. And if you want to see how to do it via changing the crank pulley from underneath, then make sure you check out Cleo Collins' video as well. We're going to be doing it the way that she mentioned, from going in from the top. We're going to link her video down below, so let's get to it. So you've jacked your car up, you've taken your wheel off and you remove the arch liner. Make sure you've got an axle stand on the chassis underneath the car. The first step we're going to do is we're going to use this belt tensioner tool, and we're going to take the slack off the belt so we're able to remove it. So if you look down the front there, there's the bolt next to the dipstick. And what you're basically doing is you're putting the tensioner tool over the bolt that's on there, and you're locking it under that, and then you're pulling it up to relieve the slack on the belt. So we're going to show you how to do that. And once you relieve the pressure of the belt, you're going to put this little locking pin into the top of the spring here so that it holds the pressure in the spring and not on the belt. So realistically, you're going to need two people to do this job, because one person's got to relieve the pressure on the belt and the other person's got to slide the pin into the top of the tensioner.
Right, so to the person that's putting the locking pin in, you'll see what I mean when you're doing it. When the person pulling back with the belt tensioner tool is pulling it back, two holes are going to appear. You need to put the locking pin in the second hole, but we're going to put a picture in to show you what we mean.
Okay, so as you can see, from putting the pin in the second hole, it's giving you a lot more slack on the belt, so it's a lot easier to take it off all the pulleys now. You will be able to do it by doing it in the first hole, but it's going to be a lot more difficult. But you can see now it's just sliding off all the pulleys. So the next step is to put your jack under the left side of the engine, so that when we take the top engine mount off, it's going to hold it and support it. So now you've got the jack supporting the engine from underneath. We're now going to remove this top left engine mount. So you've got an 18mm there, two 16s at the back and two 16s at the front. So before you take the bolts off, this is a 13mm bolt and this is an earth cable that goes to the chassis. So you remove that and then put a couple of gloves over it just so it doesn't short itself out. So you've removed your nut and your 4 bolts to either side. So now this engine mount will just slide off. Just lift it up, give it a little wiggle. Now you can see you've got a lot more access down to the belt tensioner. So as you're looking at the tensioner while it's on the car still, you've got a 10mm here, a 10mm here, 16mm at the back here, and a 16mm here. You're probably going to find it a lot easier to get the last 3 at the back from underneath, and then the one at the top you can get from the top. So the next step is to remove this engine mount. So you've got a 16mm there, just at the back, and then if you look underneath, that bolt needs to come out as well, which is an E14 torque drive. So remove those and take the engine mount off. So now you've removed the whole engine mount on this side. You've jacked your engine up probably, I'd say 3 inches, 4 inches. Before you weren't able to get this bolt out, but now that you've jacked it up, you can now just slide the bolt out like that. So then this whole tensioner just comes out the side, a little bit of a wiggle, and it's out. So before we go any further, I just want to say, from jacking the engine up like this, they do recommend that you take off the other engine mount and the lower rear engine mount, the HT leads and all that kind of stuff. But if you're jacking it up so that you can just get in and do what you need to do, you don't need to remove any of that. If you want to be cautious and you want to do that, then that's fair enough. But we've done this, this is the second time we've done this now. We've done it on the blue car and on this car, and there's no damage been caused from doing this. So as you can see, the old one was obviously covered in oil because the rocker cover gasket wasn't changed, but we've changed that now. But you can see there's no pressure in that at all. And the wheel is just spinning on its own, and it's making that ringing noise as well. But what happened on the Blue Mini is this failed, and then the pressure in this spring ended up making this wheel come down, smash into the crank. So that's the reason you put the alter stop over the top. We've actually had a few comments since we've uploaded that last video, people saying this doesn't actually work as well, but we're going to see how it goes. It must be better than nothing, but it just makes it so it can't go any further than that. So if it does fail, it's supposed to stop that from this wheel swinging down and smashing into the crank pulley. But as you can see, there's lots of pressure in that. It's really hard to move, and the wheel doesn't move at all, and there's no noise, so it obviously needs to be changed. And the other thing we noticed as well is there's a big crack in this ring here, so it could have ended up going on this car as well, so it's just as well we're changing it. So let's put the new one back on. So the new tensioner can just go in now, so just slide the back end in first, and then this hook goes over the supercharger pulley which is there. And then you've got your bolt, goes back in there into the engine. You put this one in first, because as I said earlier, if you drop the engine down now, you're not going to be able to get this bolt in, so just make sure this bolt goes in first to make sure it's done. So just make sure this bolt is really tight. It doesn't have to be to a particular torque. I'm sure there is probably a torque setting, but just needs to be properly nipped up. So the next bolt is the 10mm. Goes through this hole and back into the engine into there. So you just need to release the pressure in the damper a little bit and just raise it up like that. Just needs a bit of wiggling around. Okay, so we've got the 16 in here, that's that there. And you've got the 10mm that's there, and then we've got the other 10mm that we're doing now just down the back under the and that's all done. So now we're just reversing everything and putting it all back together. So this just goes into the hole there, like that, and then your big bolt just threads into there. So we're now just tightening up the 16mm bolt that holds the engine mount in. So now your engine mount bracket goes back on. You may need to adjust it with the jack still under the engine if it's not sitting 100% right, but it should just need a little bit of persuasion. And then again, you just got 2 bolts at the back, 2 bolts at the front, and then your nut on the top of it. So just make sure this little bracket goes back into that slot in between the 2 holes. It will just slot in the middle, like that, and then your bolt goes down through that hole like that. So in the last bit, just to put the earth cable back on the engine mount. Poke the bolt up from underneath, and the nut just goes on the top. Alright, so that's all back together. The last thing is just put your arch liner back in, put your wheel back on, and you're all done. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you found it helpful, please give it a big thumbs up, make sure you like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. So I'm just going to start it up, make sure it's all running smoothly, there's no weird noises.